Welcome back. Today we are going to do a quick one on the CCA Phoenix. So this one is, kind of literally a Phoenix. This is sort of the rebirth of CCA as a new brand that's not under KZ, they are under ND Audio. So there was kind of a swap of brands, and I think KZ let this one go. ND Audio picked it up. So that is kind of what I would call the backstory on Phoenix and perhaps why they called it Phoenix. But secondly, those of you who are into purple, I would say that the purple version of Phoenix is pretty amazing looking. I paired it with a Zeeson purple cable. Those of you familiar with Zeeson Audio Store, when they first started, they did a lot of purple cables. This happened to be one of their first purple cables. So, I think purple is the color of IEM that sounds the best. If you're ever given a choice of purple, black, or silver, like Phoenix, always choose the purple because it is the one that sounds the best. Just kidding. They all sound the same, but purple is always the one that sounds better. The cable that actually does come with it is this one. This one it's nice SPC. It's actually better than your typical old CCA style cable, which was a KZ cable. So they definitely are upgrading the accessories, and this one is the mic version. And I probably would have not picked the mic version, but this one happens to be the mic version. But, it's kind of a nice 4-core SPC cable. You do get a branded pouch. This one does say CCA on it, so that's pretty cool. I don't have any of those. So there's a pack of tips that come with it as well. But what's a little bit different about this particular model, if you are used to KZ style or CCA style, this is a normal 2-pin. You don't have a QDC sticking out. So I would say that the shell is very, very nice. It is a nice polished metal, kind of metallic purple. It's got this kind of silver accent on the nozzle. Actually, the filter is a little bit different. It looks more like a actual tuning filter as opposed to a normal mesh that you would typically see, kind of front vent. So I do like the shell a lot. I think it's a really nice size. It's a really comfortable fit. It definitely pairs really, really well with a purple cable if you have one of those, but stock cable is okay. So let's kind of look at the graph, and I'll say kind of right off the bat, this one kind of violates my flying over the Harman target. And I would say I kind of put it against cadenza to kind of see where your typical single dynamic driver, $28-ish would probably be, and which parts of Phoenix are really probably a little bit too much for me. If you are a low volume listener, this probably sounds fine. But for me, anytime you are kind of above the Harman target, that dotted line right there, that tends to not work for me. And I would say it's sort of no different here. It doesn't necessarily work as is. Secondly, I would say that there are sets, and Phoenix is going to be one of them, where I listen to it and say, hey, this actually sounds really nice. They put a really nice driver in it. Let's EQ it and listen to it, and I could turn up the volume and enjoy it and hear what it can do. And that's exactly where Phoenix is. So out of the box, not really a tuning that I would listen to. It's a little bit too much for me. But with EQ, it kind of brought out some really, really nice characteristics in the dynamic driver that they chose. So I did kind of dig it. I do think this falls in that category of, maybe you picked it up, but I would say dial it into your preferences. It's actually worth it. It's kind of a standout $28 single dynamic driver. And that's what I would say it is. It's a $29 LCP dynamic driver. What is it really? I would say it's a super nice shell. It's a very nice driver. It's tuned to show off that upper range, like I just said. And I will admit that it's one of the better affordable drivers I've heard recently, but there was really no need to push the upper range the way they did. I mean, this whole thing is kind of flying above the Harman target, and they didn't need to push it that hard. I'm not sure why they did. But on the other hand, if you are a lower volume listener, this is definitely one of the better lower cost, lower volume single dynamic drivers you can buy. Definitely, I haven't heard that many this year that sort of fit that bill as far as being lower cost and a really high quality driver. And this one is kind of both of those. And I'll say the bass again. This bass curve right here is kind of what you see in the red is Phoenix. I think there's 3 points that they got really right on this one. And one is they tilted the sub bass down. There's a little bit more mid-bass, which you can kind of see there above the Harman target, and they just have really great driver control. Like I said, this driver is a little bit of a standout. It's a really high-quality driver. There's a real speed to it. There's a real responsive to it. There's kind of a tightness, a bounciness to it. It's the kind of driver that I like with more energetic style genres, pop music, EDM, rap, hip hop. It doesn't really, I mean, if you're into kind of the slower vocal things, maybe that richer style, it's not like that. It's kind of a more bouncy, fast hitter style dynamic driver, and that's what I like it. I think that's great. At $29, there aren't enough of those. So I think they got all three of those bits right, and I think Phoenix is really close to a standout with this recipe and price, right? There's other sets that kind of do the tilted sub bass, more mid bass, nice control. Those tend to be a little bit more money. So for me, hearing this one, it sort of stood out in that way. It's the right recipe at a lower price. So why does Phoenix sound so clean, more natural, more resolved, better staging? It all started with this bass curve and for those points that I just pointed out. So the mids, again, it's a little bit hard to see on this graph, and it would probably be a little bit easier to see if I didn't have the cadenza there. But the bass shelf is closer to a shallow V. It's closer to neutral. And this reveals the mids more than it appears. And again, this is a winning move when you have a really nice driver. You kind of tilt the whole bass shelf down a little bit, reveal the mids. There's more mids there. You combine that with no boom, no bloated bass, and you get a lot of mids, and that's what happens here. And if you're going to pull that move off, you better have a nice driver that sounds very resolved and very clear, a lot of clarity to it. And that's why I said this one's a little bit of a standout in that respect, because they basically revealed the mids, and what kind of showed through, I heard kind of right away. I'm like, let me just EQ this so I could actually listen to it at proper volume. And yeah, it's actually quite nice to listen to. And I'll say and we'll kind of lead right into the treble in that respect. And I like more volume, so this tuning, the way it is above the Harman target, just tends to not work for me. It's too much from about 3 to 20K, and especially where you see the gap. This 3 to 7K, kind of where cadenza dips right there, where Phoenix is kind of riding above the Harman target. That just generally doesn't work for me. I would 100% prefer where cadenza is. So I tend to kind of just in EQ move the whole upper treble, probably not even the whole upper, it's probably the mid through all of it. Just move the whole thing down. The driver's very nice, but that flying above the Harman target, it needs to be under the Harman target. For the most part, that's why the most popular sets are sitting right below the Harman target. In this, you can almost ride the Harman target and kind of up to 2K. But after that, you really need to be kind of a little bit below. And cadenza is just a really popular example of what other sets do. So I would say that Phoenix, really, really nice driver. They just didn't need to push it that hard. They could have brought the whole thing under the Harman target, and it would have been a really, really nice set. And the same thing on the stage. I like extension. I actually like this extension. It looks like it's crazy extension, and it's going to be kind of painful, but kind of take into account that our couplers aren't all that accurate. But there is a lot of extension there. I mean, there's so much extension there that they really didn't need to push that much energy into it. I like the mid bass. Again, I like this mid bass above the Harman target. That was the right move. I do like the less sub bass. That kind of got rid of the boom, got rid of the bloatiness. Like all of these things all lined up for really nice staging. But it needs some EQ. Like I can't get stage with that much 5K. It's just going to flatten everything out. So this was the recipe for decent stage. You just need to get rid of this gap right here. For me, that was kind of the part that was really missing in the stock tuning. It's just very, very flat, kind of very bright at more volume. And you get rid of that, and the whole thing, stage is quite nice. It's got some nice dimension to it. Kind of not a little bit better than I was expecting it at $29. So again, just looking at the graph, I would have said, yeah, probably not going to really work for me. But as soon as you hear it and you hear what the driver can do, it's going to be worth your time to really dial it into your own preferences and change the tips or whatever you want to do, change your source, whatever it is, to kind of bring this in line with what your expectations are and what sounds really preferable to your ears. And this is my version of just moving from about 3 to 20K down about 2 dB. That'll move this whole thing basically down under the Harman target. So that is what I got on Phoenix. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and I will see you next time.